Hey everybody, Catholic Rants here. I'm in my car again. Okay, so new topic today. This is gonna be a edgy one. Talking about birth control. Why am I talking about birth control? Because I just watched the Change My Mind, the newest Change My Mind episode by Steven Crowder called Pro-Life, Change My Mind. No, I'm Pro-Life, Change My Mind, 3rd edition. I like Steven Crowder. I've been watching Steven Crowder since before he still had his independent channel before he got any deals with anybody. I remember when he was making videos about guns, about Obama and junk like that. It was pretty mainstream, sort of normie conservative stuff back in the day. Then he hung out with PJ Media. Then he had his deal with Fox News, and that fell through. And then he became a bigger channel. So I love the fact that he's become such a force in conservative media. However, when I changed a lot of my political opinions, I still consider myself pretty conservative, pretty traditional, but a lot of those things sort of deviate from Steven Crowder's perspective on things. Of course, I'm just as pro-life as Steven Crowder is. I'm just as against abortion as he is. But there's one fundamental thing that Steven Crowder does not seem to understand about his pro-life position, or maybe he does, or he probably just has disagreements and things. Steven Crowder, I'm pretty certain, is a Protestant Christian, and he's part of a church that accepts contraception as not a moral issue. It's not a big deal, and he says he says on camera in the episode, I am for contraception. I'm just against killing human beings. Now, let me get something straight here. Most contraception, I don't believe, causes an abortion. Obviously, I think contraception, in the opinion of the Catholic Church, is wrong, not because it is abortifacient, but because it violates a standard of human nature regarding procreation, regarding the very first command the very first command God gave to humanity, and that was to be fruitful and multiply, to generate ourselves using this process of procreation, of intercourse. Now, when it comes to birth control, and I was just sort of thinking to myself as I was driving here, the reason people are so against folks who try and overturn abortion, fight against the spread of birth control and all of those things is because birth control has fundamentally changed human society. It changed it so radically, so deeply, that to switch it is almost unthinkable to the modern man, to the modern woman. It's an unthinkable circumstance, because what it has essentially done, it has divorced procreation and motherhood from the person of the woman. It essentially admits or says that giving birth to children and raising children is not something that is unique and special to mothers. Because what birth control does is make women like men. Men obviously have a fundamental role in seeding children, but in regards to bringing them to term, in regards to the relationship that a man has with a child, as opposed to the relationship a woman has, they're completely different things. The way men interact with children is different than how women do it. But birth control, because they say if you're against birth control, you're against equal rights. You're against the equality between men and women. Okay, let me just go on record as saying this. Yes, I am against that. I am against the meddling with human nature. I'm not saying men are better than women. I'm not saying that men are worth more than women. I'm saying men and women are entirely different in this regard. And that birth control, attempting to rob women of that fundamental aspect of their nature, to make them like men, to make them like us, to equalize us. It's essentially a form, it's almost like transgenderism in a way. Honestly, that's as I'm actually processing this logic, as I'm processing this, The real transgender revolution was birth control. Because what it did was allowed women to, go out into the workforce and go out and reach the pinnacle of business or whatever they want to do. Okay, fine. But ultimately, I think it has changed the nature of family. It has changed the nature of how human beings are supposed to interact with each other. And when you rage against this, you're essentially raging against all society. All modern society is hinged upon the ability of women to equalize themselves with men. And if they can't do that, if they have to spend time raising the next generation, have to spend time raising children and having children and worrying about their care, then obviously this kind of society that we have wouldn't be possible. It really wouldn't be possible. But what's the cost? What is the cost of this kind of society? It's dead children. It's dead babies. And maybe quality of life might go down. Maybe technology wouldn't be as great as it is today. Who knows? I can't speak for the future, but I do know this: if birth control wasn't so prevalent and abortion was outlawed, then we'd have a lot less dead children. We'd have a lot more human beings, a lot more human souls who would exist with us today, and maybe they would change society. Who knows? Maybe we actually needed those people. You don't know that. You don't know if we needed these people or not. But we decided to end their lives prematurely, either through contraception or through abortion. And I stand against that wholeheartedly. I stand against it wholeheartedly. Birth control changes the nature of women for the bad, for the worse. And it shouldn't be done. And abortion is murder. So no, Steven Crowder. No, Steven Crowder. Birth control is not something you should be practicing. It feeds into the abortion mentality in society that it is okay to mess around with human nature, to mess around with human life. Just because you're not actively ending a life at that moment doesn't mean you're not doing anything wrong. To meddle around with procreation in that way is an affront to what God has commanded us to do from the very start. The second He crafted us in the beginning, He told us to be fruitful and multiply. And you as a Christian should understand that. I'm sure you do. I'm not trying to say you're ignorant, but in one aspect, you are wrong here. Contraception and abortion are linked. They are married to one another. And to say that you support one thing in this question, yet are against the other, you need to fix the ground on which you stand in regards to the abortion issue. Great, you're against abortion. Great, you're against all that horrible stuff, and I appreciate your work out there to educate people in regards to the abortion question, in regards to being pro-life. But you really need to get yourself fixed on this contraception issue, because the very same reason people take contraception is the reason they get abortions, because they don't want to have children. It's not just killing children that's wrong. It's not wanting to create the next generation of people that is also wrong. I understand some folks maybe don't want to have kids. Maybe some folks don't want to raise a family and things, but it cuts both ways. You say if you don't want to have kids, don't have sex. And you being a person who considers himself a man of Christ, if you don't want to have sex, you shouldn't be married either. You shouldn't be married either. You got to be single, or maybe enter the convent, or become a priest or a preacher or something. Whatever involves not having to get married. It's a choice, just like you said. It is a choice. Contraception is not natural, Stephen. It's not normal to do that. To pop a pill and then it's literally a pill for women to make their organs not work. It's literally medicine that breaks down their hormones and messes it. It is a hormone. It makes their natural functions not work. Imagine if I'm taking a pill to make my fingers fall off. Imagine if I'm taking a pill to make my kidney fail. That's essentially what it does. And that's why it messes with women's health so much. That's why abortion, that's why contraceptive pills are so toxic to women. That's why when women relieve themselves in the bathroom, all those hormones are in their urine, and it gets into our sewers, it gets into our oceans. That's why it's messing with the fish. That's why it's messing with our health when we're drinking from the tap, because guess what? Our filtration systems can't get it out. We're drinking all this stuff. It's everywhere, and it's not good. It's not natural, Stephen. Okay? Birth control is not good. It's not good. You gotta look into this a little bit more. I'm telling you, man, if you get right on birth control, your pro-life message is gonna be that much stronger and that more consistent. That woman who you were arguing with, that I don't want to take birth control because it messes with my hormones, it changes my health, she was right in that. She's totally wrong in abortion, but she's right in that regard. That's really all I got to say about it. This is the Catholic position. Birth control, the pill, no matter how many Catholics out there practice birth control, how many of them pop the pill? Even, what is it, like 70, 80% of all Catholics around the world are taking birth control. They're all wrong, okay? They're not following the law of Christ. They're not following the law of the church. They're not supposed to be doing that. I don't care how many bishops say it. I don't care how many priests say it. I don't care how many people say it. The teachings of the church are clear. No birth control. No abortion. Knock it off. And if you do, you're screwed.